Folks, what I'm about to tell you is going to sound insane, but it's 100% true. Americans just set a record for consumer spending. At the exact same time, household debt hit an all-time high of $17.5 trillion. That's not a coincidence. That's collapse, disguised as confidence. You're being told the economy is strong because you're still shopping. But in reality, we're watching a nation swipe its way straight into financial ruin. Credit card balances just passed $1.2 trillion. Our delinquencies are up over 50% since 2021, and 60% of Americans now live paycheck to paycheck, including nearly half of those earning six figures. So how the hell is spending still hitting record highs? Easy. It's not wealth. It's credit, desperation, and denial. This isn't resilience. This is a slow-motion disaster, and nobody's sounding the alarm. So let me do it for you. Here are 10 reasons Americans are spending more than ever, while going completely broke behind the scenes. Number 10, monthly payments are the new status symbol, and it's destroying people. You ever talk to someone and they brag about their brand new $70,000 SUV or their $5,000 mattress or the latest iPhone 17 Pro Max Ultra whatever? And then you ask, nice, did you pay cash? And they look at you like you just asked if they own a horse and buggy? Guys, in 2025, owning something isn't what's in, making the monthly payment is. We've hit a point where the majority of Americans don't even think about the total price anymore. They think in monthly installments like that's just how the world works. The average car loan, it's now $739 a month according to Experian, and that's just the average. Over 17% of new auto loans now come with a payment over $1,000 a month, and people are locked into 7 to 8 year loans just to afford the car sitting in their driveway while they eat frozen pizza for dinner. But it's not just cars. Furniture, monthly payment. iPhones, monthly payment. Gym memberships, streaming bundles. Even your dentist visit now offers a financing plan. The average American has 14 different monthly subscriptions right now. And let me tell you what happens when your entire life is strung together on monthly payments. You stop noticing how poor you're getting because everything feels manageable until you miss just one paycheck or your hours get cut or you get hit with an unexpected bill. Suddenly you're juggling fire. Pew Research says that 63% of Americans couldn't handle a $500 emergency without borrowing, and yet they're sitting in $3,000 recliners financed at 23% APR. That's not living. That's lifestyle inflation in disguise. What used to be considered luxury, nice cars, electronics, home upgrades, are now marketed as affordable thanks to monthly financing. But that affordability is an illusion. Those $730 payments add up to $62,000 over 7 years for a car that's worth $14,000 at the end. But, hey, at least the Bluetooth works, right? The system is designed to keep people spinning on a wheel, mistaking debt for comfort and monthly payments for progress. You might not feel broke when everything is covered, but behind the scenes, you're leaking money like a broken pipe. And the banks, they're getting rich off every drop. Number 9. The rise of the two-income trap is bleeding families dry. So here's the part no one wants to talk about. Remember when one income was enough to raise a family, own a home, go on vacation once a year, and still save for retirement? Yeah, that version of America's long dead. What we've got now is the two-income trap. And it's not just a phrase anymore, it's backed by hard numbers. In 2025, over 62% of U.S. households are dual income, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. But even with 2 full-time jobs, more families are falling behind than ever. The median household income is $74,580, yet the average cost of living for a family of 4 in most U.S. cities is pushing $85,000 to $100,000 a year before savings. The math doesn't work anymore. And worse, both partners are working more hours, but with less time to actually manage their money. That's not progress, it's survival with a smile. Between daycare, which now averages over $1,200 a month per child, rent, median $1,250 a month nationwide, groceries, up 25-35% depending on region, insurance premiums, and student loan payments back in full swing, families are stretched beyond capacity. And when both parents work, guess what? There's no one left at home to cut costs. No more cooking from scratch. No more home repairs. Everything becomes a service you outsource, and that's expensive. It's like being stuck on a treadmill set to sprint while blindfolded. And this trap hits the middle class the hardest. Poor families already qualify for assistance. The rich don't need it. But the two-income middle class? They earn too much to qualify for help, but not enough to feel secure. And so they mask their struggle with more credit card debt, which just hit $1.233 trillion, a record high. These aren't just numbers. They're silent red flags waving in plain sight. Every month, millions are pretending to have it all together, while the only thing holding the house of cards up is the next direct deposit. And the second that paycheck gets interrupted, illness, layoff, recession, it all collapses. And guess what? It's not just happening at the bottom anymore. Even high-earning families are one accident, one mistake, one missed paycheck away from disaster. Because when two incomes just mean two people financing a lifestyle they can't truly afford, nobody's really winning. Number 8. The illusion of high spending defrowns strong economy is a complete lie. If you've been hearing economists on the news patting themselves on the back because consumer spending remains strong, you should probably scream into a pillow, because that phrase right there is one of the most deliberately misleading headlines in the modern economy. Yes, Americans are spending more money than ever. That's a fact. But not because they have more to spend. It's because everything costs more, they're using debt to survive, and they have no other choice. According to the Federal Reserve, total household spending in Q3 2025 rose to $18.4 trillion, a new high. And media outlets are spinning that like it's good news. But here's what they won't tell you. Real disposable income, that's what's left after taxes and inflation, is down 9.2% since 2021. That's the worst four-year drop since the 1970s. So if income is down, savings are down, and credit is maxed out, how is spending still going up? Because people are going broke trying to look like they're not. It's survival camouflaged as prosperity. The U.S. personal savings rate is now sitting at 3.4%, the second lowest level since 2007, and credit card default rates are climbing steadily, especially among millennials and Gen Z, who are turning to BNPL services and payday loans just to keep their heads above water. Retailers are reporting record sales not because the economy is thriving, but because people are panic spending, hoping to feel normal again, even if it's just for the weekend. And don't forget shrinkflation. People aren't actually getting more. That $100 grocery bill now gets you 20–30% less food than it did in 2020. So yes, you're spending more, but you're also buying less. That's not strength. That's a desperation economy. And the government loves this illusion because it props up GDP numbers and consumer confidence metrics. But behind the curtain, Americans are barely treading water, buying with credit, delaying bills, and praying the car doesn't break down. This isn't a strong economy. It's a spending illusion propped up by borrowed time, borrowed money, and a broken financial system. Number 7. America's zombie households are drowning in debt, but still pretending. Everything's fine. Nobody likes to admit they're broke, especially not in a country that glorifies success, status, and spending like it's religion. But here's the cold, ugly truth in 2025. Tens of millions of households are walking around like everything's fine, mortgage paid, car parked, kids dressed nice, when in reality, they're what economists now call zombie households. What's a zombie household? It's when your debt obligations exceed your income. You're technically insolvent, but you haven't defaulted yet because you're still moving. You're not dead yet. According to a recent Lending Tree survey, 1 in 3 Americans now say they rely on credit cards for basic expenses, and 28% of households are spending more than they earn each month. That's a disaster in slow motion. And don't forget about the minimum payment trap. 47% of credit cardholders admit they only pay the minimum each month. You know what that means? A $2,000 balance could take over 20 years to pay off with interest, and you'll pay back more than double what you borrowed. But the scariest part is the illusion of stability. People still post their vacations on Instagram, show off new purchases, or buy Starbucks every day like everything's normal. But what you don't see? They're skipping utility bills, draining retirement accounts early, a record $92 billion in early 401k withdrawals in 2025 alone, and hiding collection notices in the drawer. The whole "I'm fine" thing is a mask, and behind it, fear, debt, and denial. These households are fragile. One emergency, one interest rate hike, one job loss away from complete collapse. And guess who benefits the most from this charade? Banks and lenders. They make billions on late fees, interest, and penalties. $130 billion in 2024 just from credit card interest alone. The entire system is designed to let you survive while quietly bleeding you out over time. But don't mistake motion for progress. Zombie households might look alive on the outside, but the financial rot is already setting in. And unless something changes, fast, we're going to see a wave of bankruptcies, defaults, and foreclosures hit harder than anyone's ready for. Number 6. Layaway is dead, and that's a huge problem. No one's talking about. Time was, if you wanted something nice but couldn't afford it, you'd use layaway. Remember that? You picked out what you wanted, made small payments over time, and once it was paid off, you got your item. No debt, no interest, no collection agency breathing down your neck. It was simple, safe, and responsible. But now, layaway's practically extinct. Big retailers like Walmart, Best Buy, and Target have replaced it with something far more dangerous. Buy now, pay later. You'd think they just renamed it. Nope. They swapped a cautious, patient saving system for a debt-fueled financial trap. BNPL promises you can have what you want instantly and pay later in easy installments. But those installments come with fine print, and when you miss a payment, boom. Late fees, interest spikes, and credit damage. And here's the kicker. BNPL isn't federally regulated like credit cards. That means shady tactics, confusing terms, and predatory algorithms are running wild, and nobody's watching the henhouse. As of Q3 2025, over 55% of Gen Z consumers have used BNPL services, and 32% of them have missed a payment. That's a third of young people already being penalized. And guess what? Many don't even know they're taking on debt. Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay literally advertise this as smart shopping or budget-friendly, even when the data shows otherwise. BNPL defaults are rising at an alarming rate, up 43% since 2023, according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And here's something even more sinister. Many retailers mark up items slightly when offering BNPL to cover fees they pay the provider. So you're actually paying more than if you just bought it in cash. What happened to saving first? What happened to teaching patience and delayed gratification? Gone. Replaced by financial dopamine. And it's affecting long-term wealth. A recent study from TransUnion showed that individuals who frequently use BNPL are 24% less likely to have a positive net worth by age 35. That's a generational wealth killer. So yeah, layaway may have been boring and old-fashioned, but it didn't leave millions of Americans broke, confused, and trapped in a web of invisible debt. And if no one says anything, this shift from saving to borrowing is going to ruin an entire generation. Number 5. The middle-class illusion is the biggest scam in modern American history. Let's just say it. The American middle class is a myth with a good marketing team. You probably know someone, or maybe you are someone, who technically should be doing okay. Household income north of $80,000. Own a house or at least have a mortgage. 2 cars, 2 incomes. Maybe even a family vacation every couple of years. But the numbers don't lie. Most of these people are one bad month from financial ruin. According to the 2025 report from the Federal Reserve, over 57% of households earning between $75,000 and $125,000 report feeling financially insecure. That's not low income, that's middle class. And they're still struggling to pay bills, afford groceries, or save anything at all. Why? Because being middle class in America no longer means you're comfortable. It just means you've got more expensive problems. Take housing. The average mortgage payment on a newly purchased home in 2025, $2,165 a month, up from $1,650 in 2019. That's a 73% increase. Then toss in insurance, property taxes, repairs, and utilities, and you're sinking over $4,000 a month just into keeping a roof over your head. Meanwhile, salaries haven't even come close to keeping up. And don't even talk to me about healthcare. Out-of-pocket costs and premiums for a family plan now average $9,600 a year, even with employer coverage. Want to know how we got here? Decades of inflation outpacing wages. College degrees that cost six figures but don't guarantee income. A medical system that can bankrupt you for an ER visit. And an economy that forces families to finance everything just to feel normal. So what do people do? They fake it. They buy new cars on 84-month loans. They max out cards to keep up appearances. They enroll their kids in sports leagues they can't afford just to keep up with their neighbors. And silently, they sink deeper. The scariest part? Middle-class collapse isn't loud. It doesn't look like the Great Depression with soup lines and dust bowls. It looks like a family in a 4-bedroom home who's afraid to open their mailbox. It looks like someone with a 720 credit score who secretly skipped their last student loan payment. It's invisible, quiet, and creeping through every suburb in the country, and nobody's doing a thing to stop it. Number 4. Retail therapy has morphed into financial self-harm, and nobody wants to admit it. Let's talk about something uncomfortable. Something everyone sees but nobody really says out loud. We live in a country where emotional crisis leads directly to consumer spending. It's called retail therapy, right? Except here in 2025, it's evolved into something way darker. Financial self-harm with a debit card. And we're not talking about people splurging on a $20 face mask or a pair of socks to feel better after a long day. We're talking full carts of non-essentials at Target, $300 Shein hauls, $900 concert tickets, and accidental Amazon binges at 2 a.m. Why? Because people are broke, stressed, depressed, and spending is the only thing that gives them a moment of control. According to a 2025 Credit Karma survey, 61% of Americans admit to impulse spending to feel better emotionally. But here's where it gets terrifying. 42% of those same people said they regretted the purchase within 24 hours, but couldn't afford to return it. So now the debt lingers, and the emotional high is gone. It's a vicious cycle. People scroll social media and see the curated lives of influencers and friends who seem to have it together. The subconscious response? If I just buy this thing, those boots, that rug, that kitchen gadget, maybe I'll feel normal too. And so they buy. And the banks profit. And the despair deepens. But it gets worse. Emotional spending has been linked to depression, anxiety, and even addiction-like behaviors. Financial therapist Lindsay Bryan Podvin reported in her 2024 study that retail therapy triggers the same dopamine spikes as gambling or binge eating. You're literally training your brain to depend on purchases for emotional stability, even if those purchases destroy your stability. It's an invisible form of collapse, and the numbers don't lie. Americans racked up over $140 billion in new credit card debt in the first half of 2025 alone. Retailers know this. That's why your favorite stores now use AI to predict your weaknesses, sending you coupons at your emotional low points, pinging you during the hours you're most likely to feel lonely or stressed. This isn't shopping. It's psychological warfare. And it's working. If emotional spending was just a coping mechanism, it wouldn't be killing bank accounts. But it's deeper now. It's a cry for help, hidden behind a checkout button. And every single swipe is just another step toward financial ruin, wrapped in a plastic shopping bag. Number 3. Silent repossession and the vanishing car crisis. No one saw coming. Here's something that'll knock the wind out of you. Millions of Americans are losing their vehicles, and you won't even hear about it. It's called silent repossession, and it's quietly exploding across the country in 2025. No tow truck, no drama, just poof. Your car is disabled remotely or vanished from your driveway while you're asleep. Welcome to the new era of debt collection. With modern GPS tracking and kill switch tech built into nearly every financed vehicle, lenders don't need to knock on your door anymore. They just flip a switch, and your car becomes a 2-ton paperweight. Cox Automotive reports that auto loan delinquencies have hit a 29-year high this year, with over 7.6% of borrowers now 60 days or more behind. That's the highest rate since the 1990s. But here's the crazy part. Repossessions haven't flooded the news because they're not visible anymore. Repo companies now partner directly with AI-powered data networks. They track you, map your routine, and scoop up your vehicle in under 90 seconds without you even waking up. And if you've got a newer car, forget the tow truck. They'll just lock you out via satellite and disable the ignition. This isn't a rare thing anymore. A report from TransUnion says that over 1.8 million vehicles were silently repossessed in 2025 so far, a 47% spike from just 2 years ago. And it's not just subprime borrowers getting hit. Even borrowers with prime credit are now defaulting because those car payments have exploded. The average used car loan now costs $542 a month, up from $413 just 3 years ago. Add insurance, which is up 54% since 2020, and gas, and you're looking at a 1,000-month burden just to drive to work. But you know what's even more brutal? Many people don't know they're defaulting. Lenders will give you grace periods and just tack on fees, push back the due date, and wait for the moment your balance becomes unpayable. And then, click, you're locked out. No call, no warning, no appeal. And then good luck getting to your job or taking your kid to school without wheels. It's predatory, it's high-tech, and it's happening in silence. But hey, according to the headlines, consumer spending is strong, right? Just don't ask the guy standing at the bus stop with $18,000 in car debt and no vehicle to show for it. Number 2, Americans are rating their own futures. Just to survive the present. If you want a crystal clear sign that things are falling apart, here it is. Americans are gutting their own retirement accounts just to buy groceries. That's not hyperbole. That's straight from the IRS, who reported a record-breaking $92 billion in early 401k withdrawals in 2025, and we're not even through the year yet. Let that sink in. People are so desperate for cash today, they're willingly sacrificing the one thing that was supposed to protect them later. You'd think this would only apply to low-income earners, right? Wrong. A full 30% of those who tapped into their retirement accounts in 2025 were between ages 35 and 54. And most of them were earning above $80,000 a year. That's middle class, maybe even upper middle class in some areas. And they're burning through their future just to stay afloat right now. Even worse, a shocking number of them are doing this to pay down credit card debt, which, by the way, is taxed and penalized if you withdraw it early. So they're losing 10% to early withdrawal fees and another 22% to taxes just to pay off credit cards charging 29% interest. That's not bad math. That's financial suffocation. And here's what makes it even more tragic. Most people who withdraw from their 401ks never put the money back. They promise themselves they'll catch up later, but later never comes. Fidelity released a study in Q2 this year showing that only 1 in 6 people who made an early withdrawal ever rebuilt their account balance, which means for millions of Americans, retirement is no longer postponed. It's canceled. But hey, at least the lights stayed on and the gas tank got filled, right? It's like burning your own house to stay warm for one more night. And with inflation still outpacing wages and living costs skyrocketing, don't be surprised when those early withdrawal numbers get even uglier in 2026. We're talking about a generation that's going to hit their 60s with maybe $20,000 in retirement, no pension, rising healthcare costs, and no safety net. And yet, according to economists, the economy is still strong because spending is up. Guys, people aren't spending from strength. They're spending by eating their future alive. And nobody in charge seems to care. Number 1, the only thing growing faster than spending is denial. Let's get brutally honest here, more honest than most people are comfortable with. The biggest reason Americans are spending like nothing's wrong, while quietly going broke behind the scenes, is because we are a nation in deep, collective denial. Denial so thick you could sell it by the pound at Costco. The signs are everywhere, and yet the average person still clings to the fantasy that everything is normal. Why? Because facing the truth would mean admitting that the life they were promised, the American dream, is gone. Look at the numbers. Credit card debt is at $233 trillion, the The personal savings rate is under 4%, and 40% of Americans say they have no idea how they'll retire. And yet what's trending on TikTok? Hauls, travel vlogs, shopping sprees, people dancing while maxing out their credit limits. It's economic dissociation, and the corporations love it. They flood your feed with ads so you don't have time to think. Amazon even offers just walk-out stores now. You literally don't check out, they just bill you after. The entire system is built to keep you detached from your spending. They want you to swipe, tap, and click without hesitation, because hesitation leads to thinking, and thinking leads to stopping. The marketing is weaponized. According to a recent Nielsen study, the average American sees 10,000 ads a day. That's 10,000 reminders that you are not enough, unless you buy something. And so we spend, and smile, and pretend. But underneath, millions are in quiet panic. Collection notices, maxed cards, rent hikes, emergency expenses that never end. And still, we say nothing. We keep up appearances. Why? Because no one wants to be the first to admit they're not okay. So we hide it. We laugh about living paycheck to paycheck like it's a meme instead of a red flag. We throw a vacation on a credit card to escape for a week, then return to unpaid bills. It's a collective performance of normalcy, and it's killing us. This is what a collapse looks like in the modern world. Not riots, not soup lines, just millions of people pretending everything's fine while their financial lives quietly implode behind a wall of silence and Amazon boxes. And unless we start talking about it, really talking, we're going to hit a wall no amount of denial can soften. So yeah, Americans are spending like nothing's wrong. But the truth? They're financing their own collapse. The savings are gone, the credit's maxed, the future's being sold off in monthly payments. And the worst part? Most people won't wake up until it's too late. So if you're still pretending this is normal, just remember, the lights stay on right up until the power goes out.